Welcome to the story capsule time. Today's story is titled The Unposted Letter. This isn't a story of moving on, it's a story of a goodbye that was never spoken, a moment that slipped through time, leaving behind a space where words should have been. It's about a love that ended, not with fight, not with betrayal, but with silence. A silence so loud it echoed for years in two lives that never touched again. Some letters don't need to be posted to matter because what we never say becomes the loudest part of our story. Let's begin. It was a quiet October afternoon. The clouds were heavy in the sky and the scent of the dust and old furniture lingered in the air. Lara, a 49-year-old homemaker, was cleaning the loft in her husband Andrew's ancestral home, a chore she had been putting off for years. Her son had recently left for college. Andrew had gone for his routine doctor's appointment. The house felt unusually still, as though holding its breath. While rummaging through the old trunks, her fingers brushed against a worn leather-bound diary. Nestled inside was a yellowed envelope, unsealed, never posted. It was dated 24th July 1998 and addressed simply to Julia. Curious, she unfolded the letter. The handwriting was unmistakably Andrew's. My dearest Julia, if you're reading this, something must have gone terribly wrong. But I suppose you will never read this because I never had the courage to send it. I won't be coming today. I know you'll be at the platform with your blue journal like you always are when you're nervous. But I can't come, not this time. My uncle is dying, and in the final moments of his life, he made me promise something I couldn't refuse. He asked me to marry his daughter. I tried, Julia, I swear I tried, but I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't brave enough to walk away. Please don't wait for me at the cottage. Don't bring the paintings. Don't bring our memories. I don't deserve them. I have loved you quietly, fiercely, and I'll carry you in a corner of my heart forever. But I cannot be yours. Forgive me, Andrew. Lara stared at the letter. There was no anger in her eyes, just a stunned stillness, a slow unfolding of a past she had never known existed. She didn't speak to Andrew that night. Instead, she folded the letter gently, kept it with her, as though trying to protect something fragile. In the days that followed, she began to trace the story piece by piece. She searched Andrew's old albums and found a photo showing a group of young artists from a Shimla art workshop. Among them was a woman with paint on her cheeks and eyes that sparkled when she looked at Andrew. On the back of the photo was scribbled, Julia and Andrew, March 98. With the help of her nephew, Lara searched online through alumni networks and old faculty records. Eventually, she found her, Julia Matthews, now 51 years, a retired art teacher living alone in Missouri, unmarried and recently diagnosed with terminal cancer. Without telling Andrew, Lara boarded a train. The meeting. Julia's cottage stood on a hill, wrapped in mist and silence. She opened the door with a quiet curiosity, almost as if she had been expecting someone. I'm Andrew's wife, Lara said softly. There was no anger in Julia's eyes, no tension in her shoulders, just the soft grace of someone who had made peace with her past. I thought maybe one day, she said, leading Lara inside. The walls were adorned with her paintings, bright, soulful, and some unfinished. I found the letter, Lara said. It was never posted. I needed to know who you were. Julia smiled faintly. I waited at the station that day with my blue journal. I waited until sunset, then I went to the cottage thinking maybe he'd be late. But he never came. Why didn't you ever try to find him? Lara asked. I thought something must have happened, or that he chose his family. Either way, I didn't want to haunt a life that didn't choose me, Julia said gently. So I waited, not for him to return, but for the ache to quieten, and eventually did. You never married? I tried, but when you have given someone your whole heart once, there's very little left for anyone else. I didn't need a ring or a surname. I needed peace. And I found it here in my art, in my students, in remembering the man who once looked at me like I was his whole world. Lara reached into her bag and placed the letter on the table. I thought you deserved to read it, even if it's late. Julia opened the letter slowly, her hands trembling. As her eyes moved across the words, tears welled up, not the loud kind, but the kind that fall when a memory is touched too gently to resist. After a long pause, she looked at Lara and whispered, I waited to read these words for half my life. Thank you, not just for bringing the letter, but for your courage to bring it now. Their conversation wasn't long, but it was heavy with grace. Two women connected by love, not rivalry. There was no resentment, no blame, only understanding. And when Lara returned home, she was not carrying guilt. She was carrying a story, one that needed closure. The goodbye. A week later, Lara brought Andrew to Missouri. He stood outside Julia's door, trembling like a schoolboy. When she opened it, there was no accusations, just the soft quiet of time that had passed. I'm sorry, Andrew said. I should have come. I should have written. I should have told you. You were young and afraid. So was I, Julia replied. We both chose different kinds of silence. You chose duty, I chose memory. They didn't speak long. There wasn't much left to say. But there was a weight lifted, an ache exhaled. Before they left, Julia gave them two paintings. To Andrew, a bench under a deodar tree, two untouched cups of coffee beside it. And to Lara, a woman dusting an attic, sunlight pouring through a small window, illuminating an old letter. On the back, she had written, some letters never reach the post box, but they always find the heart they were meant for. The final conversation. 3 weeks later, Julia passed away peacefully. Her ashes were scattered near the same hilltop cottage where she once waited for her love. One rainy evening, Lara and Andrew sat together holding the painting between them. She waited for you, Lara said, but not with anger. She waited with love and silence and eventually forgiveness. I never stopped thinking about her, Andrew said, tears welling up. But I also never regretted the life I built with you, Lara. I just buried a part of myself. I thought silence was safer. You didn't betray me, Andrew, Lara replied gently. You made a choice, a hard one. You loved her once and you loved me in a different way, and I'm not threatened by that anymore. He looked at her, overwhelmed. I thought you'd be hurt or hate me. She smiled through quiet tears. I'm not hurt. I'm grateful that you were loved that deeply once and that you gave me a life filled with respect, kindness, and presence. Maybe love looks different each time, but none of it was less. He held her hand tightly. Julia gave me freedom with her silence. And Lara, you gave me the home with your understanding. I am the luckiest man I know. Outside, the rain softened into mist. Inside, two hearts held more than love. They held understanding, acceptance, closure. And somewhere between the unposted letter and a painting left behind, a goodbye finally turned into peace. Some stories don't end, they just stop, right where the words ran out, right where someone didn't show up. Julia never received the letter, but she lived as though she had. And Andrew never sent it, but he carried its weight every single day. And Lara, she didn't come to question the past. She came to witness it and gently lift the weight that both Andrew and Julia had carried for decades. She became a quiet relief, a bridge between what was and the goodbye that was never spoken. Not all love stories are meant to be lived. Some are meant to be remembered in silence, in dreams, in letters never sent but never truly lost. If you enjoy the story, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. The end.